thank you to our 3 sponsors for supporting our podcast. Johnny Russell's Art Caterers and Milltown Pies, who offer fantastic catering services, Alexander Grace Law, who provide modern and client-led legal services, and SBE Furnishings, who offer high-quality furnishings and electrical items at fantastic prices.
No, it is an interesting point, and I know what you're saying, Joe, but it's all relative, isn't it? You know, there were young lads who were training with you lot now who were probably enjoying it like you lot did 10 years ago. You know, it's all relative.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
Got to. But you know, Johnny, it's a good point that Johnny and Dooch made, in respect of, you know, did so well there. The bar was raised to a certain level, and people expected more of the team. You've also got to think, I think the league's improved with the addition of the other clubs, which has made it harder. But I have got to say, just to throw it out there, maybe for a discussion or just where my thoughts are, I do think we have underperformed in the last 4 or 5 years. Whether, and I don't know what that's down to. I think individuals aren't getting their ability. They should be getting more runs and more wickets. And as a team, we should have been doing a little bit better. But it's so easy to watch from the sides and not understand exactly what's going on in the dressing room or why that is happening. It's just an observation.
I think that's a really valid point, Jez. I would agree with you. We have underperformed for the quality in the team that we've had. The only difference is between the really successful years. And the thing is, we haven't finished any lower than 4th, I don't think. And,
no.
We're sort of counting that as a disappointment. Yeah. But there is still, over a 3 or 4 year period, there was quite a lot of transition of people moving out, people coming back in, new signings coming in. And that's not an excuse, because, you know, you should be able to deal with that. But the sort of dynamics of the team changed from, we had a very, very settled team for 4 or 5 years where you could name 9 of the players who would play every week.
Yeah.
And you know, they would play regardless. Whereas it's become a little bit more fragmented, I would say. But it's getting it's getting more settled now, I would say. So hopefully this next year we will be there or thereabouts, I think.
Yeah. No, that sounds good. So in 2013 you had an exceptional year, Johnny.
I did with the league. Yeah, I mean, obviously we won the 2020 that year and finished runners up. I think we've also got beat in the semi-final to Burnley in the Worsley Cup. But I do remember having a good year in the league. There's nothing that stands out to me in that year. Actually, it's a bit of I'd have to probably think of certain games, but I do remember. I said this to Joe actually in a previous conversation. I felt that what we did that year, I felt was a little bit unlucky in terms of what we actually came away with at the end of the season. Yeah. I felt that, you know, if we'd have matched what we did that year in the likes of 2012 and 2011, we'd have walked the league. Yeah. That year was just a year for Zaidi. Him and Accrington just walked the league. It was just ridiculous. I mean, the guy scored 1,500 runs, and I think about 80 wickets. So it was just one of those years where, you know, we didn't have the luck our way, and we didn't achieve in the league. But in terms of my performance, I do remember having a really good year. I remember needing coming to the last game of the season. We had Tomlin at home. I remember needing about 155 or 160 to get to Blez's number. For Lowerhouse, and I got 69. But I remember Newbit it slips, and he was giving me some shit, and he would just obviously mention about getting me to the ton, trying to get into my head. And I remember just putting one down mid off throat, and that dream was over with. But good year overall. Not great. To be fair, the 2021 that we won weren't the best. Might have been a couple of innings maybe, but weren't the best. I don't remember getting any in the final. I didn't get any in the final against Rami at home. I remember Ben having unbelievable innings in the final. But it's a great year. Again, it was nice for that 2020 comp in the pink kit. Me and Ben have got a good picture that I've got framed somewhere in the house with the flag up. Great year.
It's been brought to my attention that year by our resident staff about you were a lot closer to beating Blez's record. Joe, have you got those details, Dooch?
I have. Yes, I have, yes. It's probably going to be painful listening this, John, but on the 10th of August, you got 52 against Rishton. And at that point, there's 5 league games left, and you're on 666 with 5 games left. And in the next 4 games, you went 10-5-2-9, and then finished with 69.
Yeah, it's because Burnley's tucked in there for some reason. Remember in Burnley at home and I got a 2.
So you ended up with 7-6-1. What's Blez's record? 8-5-7.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 90-ish short, and in the 4 games the 4 of the last 5 games you got combined 26.
And Dooch, there was 21 innings that I battered. So that's 5 innings short of Blez's as well, which is more of a kick in the dick. Because I remember a lot of games being called off that year. But it's funny you should mention that game, Dooch, the 52 at Rishton, because you should remember that. That's the game you came out and batted with me at number 3.
I do. I remember it very well.
And that's probably the hardest, most is grafters even a word? I grafted my knockers off for that innings. And I remember getting to 50 and I was that exhausted. I just thought, right, I'm going to go for it now. And I put one right down long on throat. Blez comes in and what does he do? Just gets 60 with his dick. I thought, right, real do. Real do, just rub it in, pal. And I remember coming to the end of the innings, someone actually we're in the change rooms and someone brought it up about me being close to the record, and he knew, he actually mentioned, he like touched up on it, and he sort of said, yeah, it's closer than you think. So I was like, I was at 660 with them 5 games remaining, so I think to be fair, Joe, I think there's a little bit of pressure on me, Dooch. I think I was aware of it.
Yeah, I was going to ask, that's what I was going to ask you. Were you aware of it? Because
I think I was.
We asked Blez when we had him on, and he kind of said that he wasn't really aware of it until much later in the season.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So were you aware of it in that particular run of games, and do you think it might have had an impact?
I do. To be fair, I do because I think I just got excited and got myself worked up. To me, although it's only 200 runs away in 5 games, an average of what? I can't do any quick maths here. Whatever, just less than 50 a game. It was just one of them where, I get myself worked up and I just thought, right, just get on with it. And then whatever happened the last game. But I actually remember my dad knowing the difference. So I was aware of it in the end. But it's just one of those seasons where I thought,
it is. And to be positive and to look forward to, you're only 26. Yeah, there's some good sides in the league, but you're a great player. Get a good summer. It's on. It's definitely on for 2 or 3 of our players.
Yeah, absolutely. I've no doubt in that whatsoever. I mean, Ben's definitely capable of doing it as well. So, and I think Blez want nothing more than to hand it over to the likes of myself or Ben. Yeah. He's that type of guy. So I mean,
he is. Yeah,
it's one of those things. Yeah. Maybe I cross that milestone. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, let's hope so. Fingers crossed. So, 2013. You're obviously, a very well-established player now, one of the best amateur batters in the league. And then, so when has it started to come to you, and the clubs coming to you around going playing for a side to get paid? When's that started?
I got a couple of inquiries at the end of 2012. They were just straight up no's because I was young and I thought, I've got county commitments here, not bothered, happy where I am. 2013, got a couple more again, same response. And then 2014 would have been the year, I think I left, I didn't play 2016, 17, 18. So 2014 and 15, 2014, 2015, I was still at Lowerhouse when Corbus was there. So I got offers pretty much every year from 2012, but they sort of gradually, one more club would sort of speak to me. As each year came by. So
What were your thoughts around that? What were you're still a young lad, you're still daft as a brush. I'm sure your dad's trying to give you the right advice. What were your thoughts around doing that? I want to go off and play some money, or what?
Weren't interested at the time because I'd have been 2014 and 15. I'd have still been 18, 19, 20. So that is literally where I was probably at the peak. Where I was on the county circuit. I had a couple of opportunities playing in the 2s with them with the big boys. So it was just one of them where I was happy being at the grassroots club. I didn't want to be at a club that was renowned for developing like your Foreign Biz or your players that are in a mix of earning a lot of money but they're all playing county. I was happy being where I was.
Yeah.
Sort of relying on just making it at county. Truth be told, if I'd have been able to make it at county, I'd have always stayed at Lowerhouse throughout the entirety. So it would never been an issue staying there. And then obviously 2016 when the offer came up. So 2015 summer it'd have been. 2015 summer it had been when I've spoken to three people from Woodbank. I actually got a phone call from, whilst I was in Barcelona for my 21st birthday, I got a phone call from Steve Aid and Dasher. They basically offered me to come to Woodbank, and then when I got back, I went and had words with them at the Woodbank, met the guys, and we sort of went from there.
Yeah, no regrets?
No regrets whatsoever. I think for me, the issue that I had in sort of coming from 2014, 2015 at Lowerhouse, I personally went a little bit stale in terms of my performance. I weren't really, the excitement of sort of playing and doing, scoring runs and getting runs wasn't quite there like it was in 2012 and 13. I need something to just give me a little bit of a kick up the backside, a little bit of a push, a little bit of a challenge, I had a purpose every time I went out and battered. So I just thought, it was never the money. It was just more of a thing for me to just go out and try another league and see how I do. And I've certainly no regrets whatsoever, because I think I've come back twice the player since doing it. Yeah. Twice as crackers. And Duke's actually said to me the other day, he said I've come back twice as sounder as well. So yeah, I've no regrets whatsoever.
No, well, to be honest, you can't be more sounder. So just tell us what was it like being the mainstay of a side, someone who's got to be getting the runs and winning games for 10 other amateurs. What was it like for you?
Good when you're doing well, really good when you're doing well. Horrendous when you're doing shite. I think the biggest issue I had, the biggest challenge I had, is the fact I just don't bowl. Please don't get onto that bit. I don't bowl. So, in terms of contributions, I only have one way of contributing, that's scoring runs. So to do that every game, week in and week out, was difficult. The first year, I didn't struggle whatsoever. I scored 900 runs in the league. And then, it was one of them where they'd resign me for the second year. Because obviously, following on from that year, I thought everything went well. I got a much promotion to the Prem. So it was one of them, another challenge, different league, different level. And I stayed there for another year, and I just thought, right, let's give it another go. So when the next year into the Prem division, I think we finished something like third, and I got like 6,500 runs in the league. Nowhere near as good as year. I had a really poor finish, really bad finish, similar to what Dukes was then saying there in 2013 season, where I had a blip of games where there was little runs scored. But again, didn't have the best ending with Woodbank, really. There were little, there were a few personal things that I wanted to sort of get out of there and try on a new challenge. So I ended up going to Bradford and Bingley Dukes, Yeah.
Do you want to talk us through it?
Yeah. So little did Dash know that somewhere in the contract of me signing for pro, I was able to ask his daughter out. So I ended up getting his daughter. So I was with her for 3 or 4 years. We had a bit of an up-to-do, a bit of a fallout in the second season. So coming to the end of the year, I weren't really enjoying myself. So I thought, right, I think it's time to move. Did stay with Phoebe for another year. Please edit this bit out. But yeah, I went to Bradford and Bingley, and so that's it really. I've Woodbank's history, and then it's not actually history because I went back the year after for a few games. That was good of me, weren't it? But Bradford and Bingley, Yorkshire, Bradford League, Bradford Prem, Jez, great league. Yeah,
I've watched a couple of games. Yeah, who was in that? There's quite a few Yorkshire players come into the Prem League in there, isn't there? Who did you play against in there?
Every weekend I was playing a county cricketer, whether it be from majority were from Yorkshire, some were from the likes of Durham. There were various players. One game I played Ajmal Shazad. I've played with Adam Waite, who's at Yorkshire. Jordan Thompson, who's at Yorkshire. Played with Harry. What's his last name? Harry Brook, who's also at Yorkshire. So a lot of good players. A lot of good players in that league, and I think I mean, to be fair, Jez, the cricket itself is very, very similar to the Lancs League. The only difference is that the Lancs League is the best supported league, league cricket going, hands down. They don't get much of a crowd. It's just hard cricket. They are nice grounds, they're nice surfaces, wickets. A lot of them are batting wickets. A lot of money's thrown around in the league. It's just a great league. The only hindrance to it was the travel and the sort of commitment to have work-wise. I got promoted into a field-based role where I work. So being on the road all day and then having to drive to the likes of Cleckheaton on a Tuesday. They played 2020s on various weekday nights. Just inconvenient, really. So I ended up sort of moving away from that. And then coming up to the end of the year, I mean, we lost like 8 games in a row or something. And I mean, I think at the time I was like the 4th highest run scorer in the league, and I just sort of lost my patience with it and thought, I'm not enjoying this. It's not worth the time.
No.
I'm not committing to this for the rest of the year. So then I went back to Woodbank for just a couple of games, and then I ended up sub-proing for St Anne's for the rest of the season for about 5 games. So yeah, I went about that year, and then that's the year I did decide to come back to the house. And I thought, you know what, I miss home. Dad were missing me a lot playing at Lowerhouse. He always enjoyed. Yeah. So I came back, and I don't think I'll be going anywhere again.
Yeah, good.
Forever.
Good to hear. No, it's good to hear. There's, it's a good journey. And you've sub-pro for a few teams within Lowerhouse, haven't you? Within the Lancashire League, sorry. I think you sub-pro'd at Enfield a couple of times.
Enfield, yeah. Sub-pro'd at Rotten Soul in 2020, then Enfield. Did a couple of... hang on a minute. What year did I do Enfield? Oh, sorry. So the year I was at Woodbank in the second year, I did Enfield for three. Well, they meant to be 4. Well, they meant to be 5, but 3 of them got called off shock. Yeah, I ended up supporting for Enfield for the rest of the season because the GMCL work differently. They play on Saturdays and the league finished early league. So I just had some time and got signed off to play for Enfield for the rest of the season. The year after.
And you got a ton, didn't you, in one game for him?
Yeah, Rishton, against Saeed Anwar. He was playing for Rishton. He was a great player. So I remember getting that. I remember losing a few balls in the back garden of this particular house to the extent where the woman came out of the back garden and said, "Will you stop hitting them into my garden?" If I'd have had a tannoy, I'd have just said no, and then carried on. Really, that I didn't, so I just carried on hitting them without speaking. Really.
Right, good. And then a ton for Lowerhouse is going to come up this year, is it, or next year, should I say?
Yeah.
Let's.
We always look for that. I mean, there's been a few close encounters, but unfortunately, not quite reached defeat in the league yet. I've had one last year that counts towards the Worsley Cup stats for some reason, but I don't know how that works. Hopefully, Nigel thought we can sort that out ASAP. Just not the case.
Right, I see. Dooch, anything you want to go through, or Joe Martin? About Johnny's career from like 13, going through those pro years.
I mean, Dooch.
Are you all right, Joe? If I go,
yeah.
I want to talk about a peanut allergy gate. So this was a game early 2013. I think it was in the Interleague or Lancs knockout.
Yeah.
And you missed the majority of the game, or you missed a large portion of the game. For what? Tell us.
Oh my God. That's a cashew, Jez.
Yeah.
So it weren't peanut, guys. It weren't peanut. It was cashew. Yeah, it was an allergy I weren't aware of, actually. So Saturday morning. I've been out actually at a birthday party at Lowerhouse Creek Clubhouse that night before, but I've driven home. I didn't drink that night. I don't really drink anyway. But that bit of the story comes into it later on. Rocked up. Me and my dad had this tradition where we'd rock up to the nets about 10:30 I'd meet him. We'd hit a few bags of balls before heading off to the game. Now I've finished doing before I've started doing the nets. I've got to the nets before him on this particular occasion, or he might have been talking to the groundsman down in the corner. He usually used to do that. I've gone to see Sean. Sean used to clean the clubhouse back then. I've gone to see him and he said, "Oh, Johnny, try these. I did brand new at the minute. They were all good." I said, "Oh, what are they?" He went, "Naked bar, they called." And he literally spelled NAKD on this bar. They're like a breakfast bar. He goes, "Here, look at this chocolate orange flavour, mate." I went, "Oh, I'll give it a try. I mean, I like chocolate, love orange mixture, Terry's, love it. Let's give it a go." As one bite, I shit you not, it was disgusting. It was disgusting. It tasted like piss, right? Next thing you know, my mouth just begins to water like a waterfall. And then instantly, it just dried up. It dried up. All of a sudden, I've had my tonsils out, right? But you know the big, thick, dangly bit at the back? That was that swollen. It was sat on my tongue, right? I like it. Next thing you know, I am projectile vomiting all over the place. What does my dad do? Comes over to the clubhouse 10 minutes later. I'm there, over at step, giving it all this. You're fucking rough, aren't you? No, I didn't drink last night. No, what are you? You fucking rough, aren't you? You had a drink last night, didn't you? And, drinking and getting hungover and getting pissed out for a game, then was just a no-no. That calls for a bollocking from Father Mark. So at this time, I've not got him on my side. He's watching his son die in front of him. We get to the nets, goes behind, I'm padded up. Oh, I'm hitting these balls. I can't see out, Joe. My eyes are watering. Well, he went, "You're struggling, aren't you?" No, I can't talk. This is getting worse. By this point, I can't talk. Tinker is messing around with his little lad in the net. So he comes on. He's like, "Look at him." Tinker grabs my face. He goes, "Mark," he says, "I'm not being funny, mate. You have to take him to hospital." Look what goes. Next thing you know, all I remember is being past his seat. I get to A&E. I get seen to ASAP. They give me this medication. 3 minutes later, I'm outside puking that up. Next thing you know, I wake up on a drip on this hospital bed, just like, what does my dad do? He fixes the place up, takes me to Tottington. I get padded up and goes out and back, finish not out with Jack Kenga, about 12 not out. I were green for rest at weekend. And then he says to me, he has the audacity to say to me at the end of the game, "Ooh, I don't think I should have played. Should have played really early, should you?" Should have not, Dad. Cheers for that, mate. Yeah, I only look like Wicked Witch off Wizard of Oz.
So the bottom line is, Sean Eaton, your cousin, gave you something that almost killed you.
He could have got himself into some serious trouble for that. Yeah, he could have done.
Yeah,
I mean, I did obviously go and get some blood tests following that anaphylactic shock, they like to call it. Got a couple of EpiPens. It transpired that I am allergic to cashews. It was like there was like a range of things that came up on the sheet, and it listed from like more severe to not severe. Now cashews was like more than 100, and then it moved down the scale. It had peanuts on there, pistachio, it had pine nuts on there, so pesto. I have had some experiences with pesto, unfortunately, as well. And also, guess what else was on there? Soya and house marks, as in dust, bit of dust. So yeah, turns out I'm just a big, massive I'm just allergic to a lot of things.
Brilliant. Right, interesting. A good fantastic story, that. Duke, anything else we need to quiz him about?
Yeah, he's the only batsman in Lowerhouse history to be out-handled the ball.
Oh, God, no. As a matter of fact, your stats are wrong because I'm not. I'm the second.
All right, okay. Who was the first?
I don't know. Stanley Eaton told me, and there was a really old... You'd have to get him on the call, mate, to clarify. There was a really, really old player back in the day. I'm talking like when the original Matt Walker played.
Sound Matt Walker.
Yeah, but this one against... this was the season I came back, weren't it? So not last year before, against Crompton at home, batting first. Yeah, same story really, Jez. Typical me, just grafting away, get it coming to, getting a bit comfortable, hit a boundary, starting to see the ball a little bit clearer. And then I've decided to block this ball, mistime the ball's dropped to the floor. I'm in a position where I'm in like my front foot stride, so it haunts me to this day, does this? It must be just the fact of pure instinct. I've gone to then just stop the ball with my hand, to then realise that I may have broke a rule within the cricket rule book, and it turns out that I was actually dismissed for handling the ball. I mean the claim. I mean it was that stupid, and everyone was in that much shock. They didn't even know whether to give me out or appeal. They were literally, the ball was looking at me like, "What the fuck have you just done, you dick?" And I sort of looked like. I'm like, "What's up, bro? Don't know the rules. I've only played since I was 9. But listen, I don't know the rules. I've done that. I've gone off instinct. I couldn't have used my bat. Couldn't use anything else. Sorry. Give me another shot." No, it didn't happen. Got dismissed, and that was it. And I've been rinsed for it ever since, to be honest. But we go again, Jez. We go again. It'll never happen again. But we go again. I've been dismissed in probably not been dismissed in weirder things, actually, to be fair. But yeah, I've been dismissed in some crazy ways.
Was it rolling that? Was it rolling or bouncing? I was on the game, I remember.
Rolling.
So you bent down to stop it with your hand?
Yeah.
Well, I was only bent down. This is the thing. I just dropped my hands from my bat. I just let go of one hand off my bat and stopped it with my hand. I just thought...
You must have bent down. You're not a gorilla.
Well, no, because I got down for the defensive shot, and then I remember just like turning around and going like that, and stopped with my hand, and I thought, oh, shit. And then when I did it, I looked up, and everyone's looking at me like, well, he's thick. And then I just obviously turned around and started walking off. But this time I didn't give a load of abuse to the umpire. You know, I admitted that it's me in the wrong. You know, I didn't get a ban for that one.
I was stood next to Mark at the time. I was having a chat with him as I usually do at the start of a game. We were just kind of looking at each other in disbelief, as to say, well, only this could only happen to Jonny. And then I walked round with Jonny afterwards, and we got stopped by Stan, and he went, "What were you doing?" He went, "How am I supposed to know the rules?"
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's still a thing to this day. I mean, there's always been when I've battered, Jez, there's always been a thing where I've had to know where my dad sat, right? So I've always needed to know where my dad is when I'm batting.
And you still do that now?
Yeah. So I'll always know where he sat when I'm batting. Now on this kit, every time I get out or if I finish an innings, I'll go around and see him. Now that's just from being a young kid, because back in the day when I would get out, it'd be a bollocking. What is it I can do better? What is it I've done? What did you see? What were good? Blah blah blah. Just a bit of feedback. And on this occasion, I remember walking around with him, and he didn't say a word to me for about 3/4 of the around the pitch. And then I brought it up to him, and he just said, "What were you doing?" And I just thought, I don't know. He said, "I can't believe it. I can't believe it." I thought, right, we'll leave it at that then. Nothing more to be said.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing else you can say. There's nothing else you can say. Brilliant. It only happened to you, Jonny. Exactly. Is there anything else from you, from Dooch or Joe Martin?
I have a couple of things. So one of our most famous games is the 2014-2020 game against Cole. 16 over rain affected game. They got 160, and we need to get it off 10 overs to go through. Jonny, the floor is yours.
What a game! Yeah, I remember a lot of things from that day. To be honest with you, I remember actually fielding. We obviously fielded first, and I remember witnessing batting from Cole like I've never seen before. They were just smacking it everywhere, and then I remember us coming off, and we were sort of the wicket towards the tea room as opposed to the road. I remember coming off, and I was just sort of in my zone in the changing room, just getting my pads on, and they were all talking statos over there, and they're all getting it wrong and all that bollocks. I don't get involved, so I didn't have a clue. I didn't have a clue what I was going to do, Jez. I was going to go out and just bat. I didn't have a clue what I needed. I didn't have a clue what we needed. That's it. Always been the case. So he goes out. Corbus takes first nut. They've opened up from the clubhouse end. First ball, straight as a die. Right into like there's like tier steps in the call, and he's put it into like the third tier step of steps, by the side screen. Yeah. Thought, right, we'll do, let's go. So Corbus ends up making 50 in 14 balls, and then I made 50 in about 23 balls. Corbus gets out bang on 50. Matt Walker comes into bat. I carry on. I got 72 off about 30. And I just remember losing ball after ball after ball. Shadley just kept going, cow corner over at tea room. And I remember my dad had gone to his car, got our bag of balls in this like booze bag for life that was half red stained because of all the leather from all the saturated water. And then off it was white, obviously. He was literally throwing these balls onto the pitch, and the umpires were meeting up in the middle of the pitch to see if the ball was in a good condition. We must have lost like 4 or 5 or 6 of his balls, and I remember it just being it was just we deserved to win the T20, but we got beat in the semis, I think, against Russell. Final against Church. Yeah, it was the year after we got in the semis.
So what happened then, Jonny? What in that innings? Was it one of those where just everything just clicked and you were seeing it like a football, or what makes the difference?
No, it was just for me. I mean, it's for anybody. I'm not preaching here, but it's confidence with batting. I mean, especially if you're opening up, you've got, unless you've got a good eye like Matt Walker, someone who can just hit the ball off the off, or if you're in prime form. For me as an opener, you've just got to get yourself in, and I think that's always been the case. It's always been a word of occupying the crease, and especially on length wickets. You've got to graft. For me on that day, I mean, the wicket weren't great, but we had an objective, and me and Corbus give it a go. I mean, watching him do that the other end, I was like, well, you know what, I've got to match it.
Yeah, I
so next thing you know, next thing you know, I starts going for it, it's coming off, and then by the end of it, it were literally seeing like a beach ball. You know, it was like literally, I'm in now. You can throw me anything, and you're going. And Chandler was bowling me half volleys, half trackers, bouncers, full tosses. You know, it would just go in. I did actually snap. I actually snapped my back that day from hitting the ball that hard. I just snapped the GM back I had, and then I never got it replaced because it was broken right down the splice, but. It was probably the highlight of that year, to fair that innings. There wasn't really much else that I did in 2014.
Brilliant.
I mean, just some of those stats on there for that game. Obviously, Johnny's talked about getting the 50s and stuff, but Shadley was bowled 3.2 overs, none for 50.
Jeepers. I've no doubt, little Joe Martin, you'll find somewhere that I can match it. You generally do. You little shit. Brilliant.
Just a couple of other things, Jez.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's sort of well documented that Mark, Johnny's dad, has had a profound effect on his cricket career. Throwing balls for him, offering him advice. Really good, and a really good friend of mine. I always have a good chat when I see him. But there's also been some absolutely brilliant things that's happened in that end net. He's there. Mark, brilliant. In that end net, he once bought... Johnny obviously hits the ball harder than anybody I've ever met. Genuinely smashes it. And obviously it's been fired back at Mark, and he used to just take blow after blow. Just hitting it. So he bought this red helmet from Surridge. Bright, brilliant red helmet. That he put on. I can remember him walking to nets anyway. What do you think?
What a cricket helmet!
Yeah.
He genuinely had an addiction on buying cricket related things. So he bought when the plastic sidearms when they came out, he bought 2 of them. He bought the cricket helmet. He used to come home with like a dozen of Surridge cricket balls because he just loved to add to the collection. And he would, particular occasion, he came back with this helmet, this bright red Surridge helmet, and I said, "Dad, what? He said, "Well, it's so you don't hit me in the head." I said, "Well, you're not going to be able to throw with it." He said, "Oh," and I think he only wore that once. But, I mean, he's been in that net that many times. It's not just me. He's obviously thrown most of the balls to me, but sometimes he threw balls at other people, like Ben sometimes. And that net is going to be named. That net is going to be named as the Mark Whitehead Lane. 100%. It is the end got to. I mean, he also had his own invention where he created a net, a partition, a net that came across the lane, so that when you would drill the ball back, that the net would absorb all the. Would take away all the whatever. But there were
a couple of hedgehogs that were in there. The amount of hedgehogs that died in that net is incredible.
Yeah. I do remember one story, Jez. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's been there's so many times I've hit the ball and really hurt him. Whether that be on his shin, his arm, his elbow, whatever. There's been a few times I've penetrated the net, gone through the net, and it's hit him. On this particular occasion, it would be a Sunday, so following on from a Saturday game, doubleheader, he would be giving me feedback whilst throwing me the ball, and this feedback would be something I would like to hear. So as older I got, taking the criticism, didn't really like it. So on this particular occasion, he's basically calling me shit, from the day before. Telling me. Now, in response, what I'm doing is I'm saying, no, I didn't. That's not true. Boom. And the more he'd come back at me, the harder I'm hitting that ball. Yeah. So on this particular delivery, I've then absolutely gone all out on this ball. It's twattered this silver pole, that obviously keeps the net standing, ricocheted off the pole, twatted him directly in his glasses, knocked his glasses off. He's looked at the floor, he's just gone, Joff, you've got to learn to control your anger. Sorry. and from then, I just thought, right, well, don't wind me up next time then. And I don't think he stepped out of line since, to be honest.
Right, yeah, you sorted him out.
Brilliant.
Oh, fantastic.
Great memory. So that's it. That's all from me.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant, Johnny. It's been an absolute pleasure. I think you are the youngest one that we've had on. It's been an
I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you're a character. You're a fantastic servant, and you're still so young for the cricket club. You've now vouched that you'll be with us forever, I think, with your words.
Correct.
And let's see you've got Blazers, first of all, getting your maiden 100 for Lowerhouse in the Lancashire League, and then breaking Blazers' batting record and winning loads more trophies for us. Dutch, anything from you before we finally finish off?
No, all good, Jez.
You've enjoyed it, good lad. Joe Martin, anything for your own mucker?
Oh, it's been great.
Yeah, brilliant. Jonny, thanks ever so much for your contributions here. We'll get it all spliced up together and get it out as soon as we can, Jonny.